What's up, guys? It's Trippy as always, and I just got through rewatching all the fights from UFC 276, and mostly I just got through rewatching Jared Cannonier versus Israel Adesanya. And let me just say, it was a dominant performance. Israel Adesanya picked apart Jared Cannonier from round 1 all the way through the 5th, and I struggled to give Jared Cannonier a single round. You guys, the Israel Adesanya hate has got to stop. I get it. I know that I made a video previously basically contradicting everything I'm going to say in this video. But a lot of you guys don't hate Israel Adesanya, the fighter, because he fights in boring fights. You guys hate him because he's Israel Adesanya. Maybe it's something about him you guys don't like. But look, man, it's cheesy, bro. It's really corny. And I'm starting to get that you guys aren't really just upset at the performances. Israel Adesanya could really come and lay it all out on the line in his next fight, and you guys would still hate him. It's simply because it's something about the guy that you guys really don't like. Maybe y'all think he's cringy. Maybe y'all think he's overrated. It could be a lot of things. The simple thing is that outside of Conor McGregor and Jon Jones, he's the biggest draw in the sport. And I've also heard a lot of criticism about that, man. I'm like, a lot of people are saying, oh, he's not a big draw. He's barely selling any pay-per-views. I heard the UFC 276 did around 400K pay-per-view buys, which it's not an official number, because ESPN or the UFC doesn't really release the official numbers anymore. But if we were to go by those numbers, yeah, that kind of undersold. But whenever you look at the fact that Israel Adesanya was on top of the card and he was co-headlined with Jared Cannonier, a guy with, I don't even think that he has 100K Instagram followers at the moment. I know he doesn't have 100K Twitter followers. Whenever you look at a guy who has the following of Jared Cannonier, Israel Adesanya didn't do too bad for himself. No, the guy isn't a Jon Jones or a Conor McGregor. He's not quite that big. But the guy is pretty famous. And like I said, he's outselling most of the draws in the sport. Boring performances or not. He's outdrawing Jorge Masvidal, who outside of Conor and outside of Jones and outside of Nate Diaz is the second biggest active star. And he's outselling Colby, and I believe he's outselling Usman, but we got to see Usman fight again. So he is at the moment, like once again, outside of Conor and outside of Jon Jones, he is the biggest pay-per-view draw. And the UFC put a lot of money behind this guy, and that is really bothering people. Now, let's really talk about his fighting style, which is what people really have problems with. Think about it like this. People get mad because he does not engage his opponents, quote unquote. Well, that last fight, if you guys really paid attention to the last fight and stopped getting blinded by your own hate, you guys would see that Israel Adesanya brought the fight to Jared Cannonier. Jared Cannonier just didn't throw. That boring performance was all based on Jared Cannonier. And you know what I'm realizing? Outside of the Yoel Romero fight, it is the fighters themselves that refuse to engage Israel Adesanya. Outside of the Yoel Romero fight, it is both of their faults. It's not just Izzy's fault. Fighters don't want to engage with this man. And I'm going to say this. Izzy is greatness. Whether you guys want to like it or not, he's greatness. I know a lot of guys are like, oh, he lost to Robert Whittaker. It's a robbery. Okay, mate, there is a question mark behind that win. It's an asterisk. But a robbery? You guys, are you serious? It's not a freaking robbery. And the people who are pushing the robbery narrative are just haters. It wasn't a robbery. Rob maybe have won that fight. Sure, it could have went that way, but it's, quote, not a robbery, because whenever you really break it down, Robert barely did any damage to Adesanya. He really did. He scored a few takedowns, landed a few face shots. Israel did a lot more harm to Robert than Robert did to him. That's facts. Robert could barely walk out of the freaking cage. And plus, Izzy dropped him, and Izzy did put work in that fight. I know a lot of people don't want to hear me say that. But the truth is that Israel Adesanya is more like the Floyd Mayweather of the UFC. And I'm going to say this for the people in the back. Everybody, I'm going to say this loud and proud. Think of all the all-time greats. They all have one thing in common. They all get accused for very boring performances. Why? Because they're so dominant that they make their fights seem very boring. Just think about it. There was Usman at a point. GSP. Even Jon Jones. Anderson Silva had it really bad. Just as bad as Israel Adesanya. You look at all these guys. They all got accused of having boring fights. Is that just a coincidence? Or is that the fact that they win too much and you guys know? Oh, and Habib. I forgot to even mention Habib. Habib also gets accused of boring fights. All these great fighters have boring performances. Why? Because the fans don't get what they're expected. They want to see the brawling. They want to see the violence. They want to see the Michael Chandlers, the Nate Diaz's of the world, the Dustin Poiriers of the world, the guys who give all their guts and glory out there, the Max Holloways, all these guys. But whenever you look at those guys, what they have in common is that these guys aren't champions. Matter of fact, half of the guys I just named on that list aren't even championship level anymore. And that's just facts, and a lot of you guys have to deal with that. Israel Adesanya is greatness. Stop hating on the man. You guys look corny as hell. It's been your boy Trippy, and I'm out.